Whenever you bring up diversity, people's hearts tend to sink a little bit. They're like, oh my God, I'm going to have a lecture. I'm going to have to sit through slides like this with multicultural hands in the air. People of different
Between the late
races,
1990s into the 2000s, Morgan Stanley has paid out more than $100 million to settle sex discrimination claims. In 2013, Bank of America Merrill Lynch settled a race discrimination suit for $160 million. Companies like Gap, Sony, H&M, Groupon, and Unilever, parent company of Dove, have all issued apologies for tone-deaf ads, losing countless dollars in the production of the ads as well as the lost revenue from customers no longer willing to buy their product. So what's the solution? Company issue diversity training. No, that's not it. Diversity training programs don't actually help. In fact, research has shown that they can have adverse effects, and many participants report more animosity towards other groups after. The reason for this is because, surprise, people don't respond well to being told how to think or what to think. 2, they don't really dive deep enough into cultural differences for these programs to be effective. Diversity programs that yield results are programs that increase contact among different groups or programs that draw on people's desire to look good to others. Yes, that last one is narcissistic. However, if people weren't narcissists, Instagram wouldn't be as popular as it is. College recruitment programs targeting women and minorities, mentoring programs, diversity task force, and diversity managers are the type of programs that get results.
I come from a conventional middle-class Nigerian family. My father was a professor. My mother was an administrator. And so we had, as was the norm, live-in domestic help who would often come from nearby rural villages. So the year I turned 8, we got a new houseboy. His name was Fide. The only thing my mother told us about him was that his family was very poor. Then one Saturday, we went to his village to visit. And his mother showed us a beautifully patterned basket made of dyed raffia that his brother had made. I was startled. It had not occurred to me that anybody in his family could actually make something. All I had heard about them was how poor they were, so that it had become impossible for me to see them as anything else but poor. Their poverty was my single story of them. Years later, I thought about this when I left Nigeria to go to university in the United States. I was 19. My American roommate was shocked by me. She asked where I had learned to speak English so well and was confused when I said that Nigeria happened to have English as its official language. She asked if she could listen to what she called my tribal music and was consequently very disappointed when I produced my tape of Mariah Carey. My roommate had a single story. I recently spoke at a university where a student told me that it was such a shame that Nigerian men were physical abusers like the father character in my novel. I told him that I had just read a novel called American Psycho, and that it was such a shame that young Americans were serial murderers. It would never have occurred to me to think that just because I had read a novel in which a character was a serial killer, that he was somehow representative of all Americans. And now this is not because I'm a better person than that student, but because of America's cultural and economic power, I had many stories of America. Every time I am home, I'm confronted with the usual sources of irritation for most Nigerians: our failed infrastructure, our failed government, but also by the incredible resilience of people who thrive despite the government rather than because of it. I would like to end with this thought. that when we reject the single story, when we realize that there is never a single story about any place, we regain a kind of paradise. Thank you.